Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. 25th edition. Time does fly, and happy July 4th and July 4th weekend, everybody. We're honored to have a best of with some of the best interviews and best situations and best deals in the trillion-dollar business of sports. It's hot all over the country. We have a lot of stuff going on. 5 weeks from now, the Rio Olympics. It's affecting everybody between Zika and infrastructure and stadiums. The only group it seems not to be affecting, maybe, is the women golfers. Lydia Ko says she's going to represent New Zealand. We have Brooke Henderson. Looks like she's going to represent Canada. And others are dropping like dominoes from the Rio Games, but not the LPGA. The argument is that this is the one time that they're trusting the experts, and the experts are not sure. So while Jason Day and Rory McIlroy and others on the men's side are not going, the women seem to be going. It's the summer, and training camps opening up pretty soon. The Eagles generating more than significant dollars from a new sponsorship with Waste Masters, and the Buccaneers with Frontier Sports. The bottom line is that the stadium training facilities are now a great opportunity to generate some revenue as well. Don't look now, but the scene shifts to Coney Island, and the National Eating Contest always is a big business item the weekend of July 4th. The mid-weekend of Wimbledon. With the roof, it's been great for television, but not great for the other 17 or 18 courts that continue to get rained out. And so the issue will be, will they be able to catch up? Looks like they will. Stan Wawrinka will not, because Del Potro beat him. And the bottom line is the second week always gives rise to, where are the American men? Well, we'll deal with that later. Bottom line is July 4th weekend, a significant time for celebration. Our 25th show, a significant time for celebration. We represent and we generate significant impact in the trillion-dollar sports industry. We will have 3 best of interviews with commissioners who have set their own stage and created their own positives in the world of sports. Rick Horrow, sports professor, Beyond the Scoreboard. See you in a couple of minutes.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
I'm KFC's Extra Crispy Colonel, and you're the extra busy regular person who has to make dinner for a family of 4. But you can shirk that responsibility because my extra crispy $20 fill-up from KFC contains 8 pieces of freshly double-breaded extra crispy chicken, 4 biscuits, 2 orders of mashed potatoes, and a side of coleslaw for just $20. That'll feed 'em. KFC, it's extra crispy good.
Pricing and participation may vary. Tax and substitutions extra.
iHeartRadio loves music. So let's count the ways. Over 20 million songs from 800,000 artists. All free. And like Pandora, you can create your own custom station from any of those 800,000 artists. Just tell us an artist or even a song that you like, and we'll build a custom playlist for you. Add to that thousands of the best live radio stations, and you'll never have to worry about finding the perfect song for your commute, mood, or party. Millions of songs, thousands of stations, one free app. iHeartRadio is that easy. Download our iHeartRadio app today or listen online at iHeartRadio.com.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, $1 trillion sports industry. Best of the first 6 months of Beyond the Scoreboard, 2016. Major reformers in their own sport generated consensus, generated significant support as they redeveloped their sport into a major moneymaker. Here's our first interview. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard. I'm the Sports Professor Rick Horrow. Paul Tagliabue, the former commissioner of the NFL, 1989 to 2006. Previously served as a lawyer for the league, chairman of the board of directors at Georgetown from 2008 to 15. He played basketball at Georgetown and captain of the 61-62 team. Graduated NYU School of Law in 65. Has a lot of perspective on the Super Bowl and the NFL. Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. Thanks for being with us.
Doing very well, thank you.
Congratulations, by the way, first, for your appointment to the Knight Commission on Intercollegiate Athletics. Obviously, a big honor that you should be very proud of.
Well, it's an important thing that they're addressing college sports and academics, so I'm pleased to be part of it.
So I'm walking through the NFL Experience yesterday, by the way, one of your creations, and I stumble on the Paul Tagliabue wing of the Hall of Fame exhibit. I got a cell phone picture of it right here. Did you know you have a wing named after you?
No, but I'm glad to know it's there. I hope it's for kids.
The revenue, the stability, the labor piece, all very important to the history and growth of the NFL. Tell us what you're personally most proud of.
Well, I think it would be the agreement with the Players Association that brought stability and brought a good, productive relationship for the game, after 10 years of combat during the 80s.
All right, my friend, you have a magic wand. You can reverse anything you did during your tenure. What, in hindsight, might you have done differently?
Well, I think we would have kept more teams where they were. We would have had a little less team movement. You're still seeing the aftermath of the Raiders and Rams moving out of L.A. with the recent decision, for the Rams to go back to the L.A. area. So, I think if we didn't anticipate an issue, it was that issue. We should have been ahead of the curve, not behind it.
You've had so many accomplishments. Tell us specifically what was the hardest to do. Leading Georgetown in scoring and rebounding when you were their top center in 1961, promoting and sustaining labor peace, or getting your 32 bosses, the owners, to agree on anything.
Well, I think the hardest thing is to, strike the right balance between tradition and change, continuity and change, tradition and innovation. Those things those are the difficult issues, and that's one of the issues we had with the Super Bowl. How much should it change? How much should it remain the same? But I think when you have something as successful for so long as the NFL, you have to be open to innovation, but you can't throw away the traditions that make it great.
All right, let's segue into the Super Bowl specifically. 1989, first Super Bowl season with you as a commissioner. Reflect back on what it was like then and how it's changed now.
Well, I think it was coming out of the decade of the 80s, the Super Bowl had suffered, as had a number of things, from the strike in 82, the players' strike in 82, which had canceled, I think, 7 games, the replacement game, so-called, in 1987. It was a period of instability. There was a lot of litigation. And, Pete Rozelle was the first to tell me that they'd lost some focus on the game itself, and that included the Super Bowl. So we had to understand that the Super Bowl is just a piece of a larger, what I call an ecosystem. It's one piece of a big puzzle. We had to get a lot of the pieces together in a new way, and that's what we did.
Super Bowls are all about defining moments in America's culture. Choose one. Was it 91 after the Iraq War when you chose to play in Tampa? Was it 93 when you moved the game from Phoenix to Pasadena over the Martin Luther King holiday issue? Or was it the wardrobe malfunction or a combination?
It was a combination of all those games, plus the game after 9/11, where the Patriots, where we had to move the game in New Orleans, and the Patriots won, or it was another game involving New Orleans, the Saints win in 2010, which showed that the city of New Orleans was back after Hurricane Katrina. So there were lots of great moments of the Super Bowl in my 17 years and many years before that.
When you took over for Pete Rozelle in 1989, did you ever think that the cost of a ticket would be $14,000 a seat and that over 1.5 million workers would call in sick the day after the Super Bowl? You created a monster.
Well, I think that most of all the players and the coaches create the monster because they're the ones who create the extraordinary entertainment that the Super Bowl is. You know, it's the greatest show on earth, and it seems like the last 10, 15 years have been phenomenal in terms of the competitiveness of the games and the upsets, like the Giants win over the Patriots if the Patriots went undefeated. So it's the drama of the game and the talent of the players that account for the $13,000 ticket.
You talk about the game domestically, but what about the growth of the international game? And the Super Bowl is the tip of the spear around Europe, Africa, Asia, everywhere. Define where NFL International is going.
Well, I think that's been very successful in London, obviously, and I think it can be successful in other parts of Europe as well, including Germany, first and foremost. I think Mexico is an area where the league has already got a great following. And, you know, I was in New Zealand and Australia for 2 weeks, just got back. And I was amazed. The last hotel I stayed at in New Zealand, the guy who was showing me around the city was a huge NFL fan. And he talked more about the Super Bowl than I have in the last 6 months, because he was naming the MVP from most of the games of the last 10 or 15 years. This was a fellow who had grown up in the Polynesian Islands and knew all about some of those great players from Samoa, but he knew just as much about the Super Bowl MVPs like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning.
We know how big the Super Bowl is. How much bigger can it get? Is it too big now, and is it growing to be too big?
Well, I don't think it's gotten too big. I think the nation gets bigger and bigger. We have almost 350 million people now. That's a lot more than we had when the Super Bowl I was played. And the audience, as I said, it's not just about sports. It's about life. It's about upsets, and it's about surprises. But most of all, it's about competing at an extraordinary level and succeeding. So I don't think it can get too big. The key is to make sure that the focus remains on the game, and that's what Roger Goodell and the others have done so well in recent years.
Let's talk about your trip to Super Bowl venue every year. Get there 8 days, 9 days earlier. Your staff basically has all the work done. Do you see your trip as a vacation, a coronation, or a week of crisis management?
Well, I tried to view it as a week of community engagement. I thought that what the community expects, what the fans expect, is for the commissioner and other league representatives to be involved in the host city. The host city puts so much energy, effort, so many resources, so much volunteerism into the game. I used to feel that my main responsibility at Super Bowl week was to pay attention to the local fans, the local volunteer leaders, and local community organizations. And we did that for all 17 years that I was commissioner.
You get to a town, what's the one thing you most worried about every single year?
Well, you worry in this environment about security. You worry about injuries to the players. You worry about the weather. But I think mostly today it's about the health and safety of the players and the health and safety of the fans, which translates itself to security.
Super Bowl 50 only comes along once. Define the special legacy and nature of Super Bowl 50 for the Bay Area and the league.
Well, it's a great opportunity to celebrate something that is an annual, it is a midwinter national holiday, but just as important, it is the crowning moment of extraordinary athletic competition. And, there was a great game in San Francisco. I was there in Stanford Stadium, and the 49ers, of course, were one of the teams that defined the 50 years of Super Bowl history. So for the 49ers in the Bay Area to host this game, I think makes a lot of sense, and I think they'll do a fabulous job as hosts.
Where are you watching the game?
I'm watching it at home in Washington, D.C.
Who's going to win?
Can't tell you that. You know, I was at the last one with Denver and Seattle. I thought it was going to be a close game. It turned out that it wasn't. But I think this one will be. But I can't tell you who's going to win. It's the new fabulous quarterback against the older fabulous quarterback. And but it turns on so much other than the quarterbacks. And we saw that in the conference championship games. The defenses are obviously critical. But I'll leave the picking the winners to the sports writers who know more about football than I do.
Ambassador, statesman, great lawyer, friend, defined the NFL for 17 years, and obviously, based on that answer, a master politician. Paul Tagliabue, thanks for stopping by. Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, $1 trillion sports industry. Best of the first 6 months of Beyond the Scoreboard, 2016. Commissioners, significant opinion leaders in their space. All of the best of interviews were people who were major reformers in their own sport, generated consensus, generated significant support as they redeveloped their sport into a major moneymaker. The dean of all commissioners, good friend, NHL commissioner, fantastic entrepreneur, and got to be the best commissioner in sports, Gary Bettman.
That's awfully wordy. How about we just get down to the substance? Congratulations on your new show.
Thank you, sir. Do you remember the song I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston?
Yes, I do.
Well, let me tell you why it's important. When you were appointed as commissioner February 193, that was the song that was number one on the charts. It makes us feel both old, doesn't it?
Actually, in the quiet moments when you and I together, you sing it to me on a regular basis.
You are a senior statesman in the league and senior statesman in sports. And when you went to Cornell undergrad and you were just getting through your career, did you ever think that you'd ever be running a $4 billion hockey operation and be the longest-standing commissioner in the sport and longest-standing commissioner in North American sports?
Well, you know, the answer to that question is very easy. If I were to say yes, you'd either think I was lying or insane. But the fact of the matter is no. You know, I went to Cornell. I was in the School of Industrial and Labor Relations, had a wonderful, wonderful undergraduate experience there, went to NYU Law School, and went to one of the big New York firms. I had started out to be a lawyer. I was always a hockey fan. I was always a sports fan. But I never imagined that this is what things would turn into. I think the most important thing for any commissioner, and it's something that I learned both as a lawyer at a big New York firm and working for David Stern, is you've got to be thoroughly prepared. There's no substitute for hard work and preparation and knowing the subject matter that you're dealing with. The great news about being in sports, particularly being at the NHL, is you have an opportunity to forge relationships with wonderful people, and that is what makes the job exciting, stimulating, and fun.
All right, you can do it. Give me your 30-second elevator speech assessment of the overall health of the game.
The game itself, what the players do night in and night out, has been nothing short of spectacular. Our competitive balance is probably the best, not only in our history, but in all professional sports, and you're witnessing that in these incredible playoffs. And the business of the game has never been stronger, never been bigger, and that's a testament, first and foremost, to having the best fans in all of sports.
All right, let's get specific. Let's talk about TV. You got a couple of Game 7s. You got a weekend to yourself. NBC TV is happy. Rogers is happy. Canada is happy. International is happy. What's up with TV?
Television's good. It's making everybody happy. The coverage of the game, particularly in the United States, has never been more extensive. NBC does a phenomenal job, both principally on NBC and on the NBC Sports Network. And in the early stages of the playoffs, they use their other outlets to ensure, for the first time in our history over the last 3-4 years, that every game of the playoffs is televised on a national basis in the United States. Their promotion, their coverage, everything they do is first rate, and it's brought the game to more people in the United States than ever before. In Canada, you know, we are the preeminent television property, and Rogers is doing a phenomenal job giving fans wall-to-wall coverage. We are very fortunate to have two great partners for our national packages, both in Canada and the United States.
Well, let's talk about Canada. You've got three of the top teams net worth-wise. You've got enlightened management, exchange rate coming around. You got good play. How have you turned it around in Canada?
Well, first of all, we don't pay a whole lot of attention to the Forbes numbers on the valuations because they don't have access to the financials of any of the clubs. You know, it's a bit of a shot in the dark. I suppose, if anything, it shows trending, and the trending is that franchise values are higher than they've ever been. You know, when people focus on our game, when you look at it in Canada, there's nothing comparable, I think, for any sport anywhere in the world to the relationship that our Canadian fans have to our game. And it's almost breathtaking to see that level of connection. And while we have great fans throughout the world and great fans, avid fans, I think more avid than any other sport in the United States, the fact is our fan base isn't as large as a percentage of the population in the U.S. as it is in Canada, but the fan base is growing. It's growing day by day. And that's a testament to the fans we have, to new technology, to what NBC has been doing and what we do with our sponsors and business partners.
Which is more important to you, the fact that the revenue was about $400 million when you took over in '93 to nearly $4 billion now, that franchises are worth nearly $500 million now, up 20%, or that you've had labor peace since 2005?
You know, I have a saying that drives people crazy around here, that everything's related to everything else. The fact is, we were in '93 a little over $400 million. You know, we're approaching roughly $4 billion. You know, do the math. We've been talking about what the cap is likely to be. So, you know, it's in that ballpark. But the fact of the matter is, everything starts with the health of the game on the ice. And we have a system that works, that creates incredible competitive balance, that gives fans of whatever team you want to root for the hope that your team can make the playoffs, and every team has that hope. And once you make the playoffs, anything can happen, and that's what we're witnessing. We're getting better. We're better able to connect fans to the game. We're getting more exposure and promotion, particularly in the United States, than ever before. And so all the pieces of the puzzle are important when you're growing the game and the business of the game.
Is 30 teams too many, or just about right?
All of our teams are in the best shape they've ever been in. A couple still have some work to do, but our ownership situation is the strongest. Franchises are the most stable they've ever been. We're getting expressions of interest from a number of places, most notably Seattle, Las Vegas, and Quebec City. We're listening to the expressions of interest. We haven't decided that we're going to do anything necessarily with expansion. We're not even in a formal expansion process. We're just continuing to listen to the expressions of interest.
And by the way, I remember from the days when you were with the NBA and we were working hard on trying to get an NBA franchise in Miami, which you successfully helped us do. When you say X, it's not X minus, it's not X minus 3, it is X. And people ought to understand that about Gary Bettman. Let's talk international. You expanding, obviously, across the pond, but what about the Olympics? What's your process today?
We haven't given much thought to the Olympic process. We're currently focused on bringing back the World Cup, which we'll do in September of 16, and that'll be a great tournament. We do international efforts, events, in conjunction with the Players Association. We're joint ventures in doing that. And over the last few years, until Don Fehr took over the union as executive director, there was a lot of instability, so we weren't able to pursue many of the initiatives that we wanted to. Now that the union is stabilized, we're working together, and I think the World Cup will be the foundation that's our jumping off point for doing a whole lot of other things. We're a sport with a great history and tradition relative to international play and international competition, more so than perhaps any of the other North American sports leagues. Roughly 25% of our players, some of the most elite players in the world, come from outside of North America, and we're going to make sure that our reach continues to grow outside of North America.
You're known as a franchise bulldog. You save franchises that are worth saving. You'll go to bat for those markets like Phoenix, but it doesn't always work. Look at Atlanta going to Winnipeg. In that context, what about the Florida Panthers?
Florida's in a rebuild. There were some fundamental things that had to be addressed and fixed. And the good news is, under Vinny Viola's ownership, the commitment and the resources are there to put the right things in place. The team is more competitive than it's been in some time, and the response from the community has been quite strong.
So, which criticism do you find most unfair, even if it's inaccurate, that you've attempted to Americanize the game to the detriment of Canada, or that you expand into the Sun Belt at the expense of more traditional hockey markets in Canada or the northern U.S.?
You know, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that. The fact of the matter is, we're trying to make the game stronger, bigger, everywhere it is. And, you know, the fact is, I was instrumental in instituting the Canadian Assistance Program in the late 90s, early 2000s, when there were problems with the Canadian franchises. We want the game strong wherever it is than anything else.
Just a couple more. So, are you traveling less and enjoying life more?
Traveling lots and enjoying life. I love what I do, And while travel's part of what I do, it's not something that I find to be unduly burdensome. It's fun to get out, see how organizations present their games in their own arenas, to interact with fans everywhere we go. That's part of the fun of what I get to do.
Where is Gary Bettman 5 years from now?
If I feel the way I do today, I think there's a song that goes like that, I'll still be doing the same thing. I love what I do. It's fun, it's interesting, it's a great challenge, and there are great opportunities. And as long as the Board of Governors is happy with me and I have the same level of interest and energy and commitment, then we'll keep doing this.
Blood pressure tends to run higher during the day and lower during nighttime sleep. However, many with high blood pressure don't exhibit this nighttime dip, a condition called non-dipping. More in today's AARP health tip after this.
At Walgreens, getting diabetes testing supplies with Medicare Part B is a walk in the park. Really? Because getting what you need is quick and easy, giving you more time for other things. There's $0 out of pocket on all major brands like AccuCheck and Walgreens TrueMetrics, and no extra paperwork. So managing diabetes becomes a stroll down Easy Street, or a trip to the movies, or even a day at the beach. Talk to your pharmacist today. Walgreens, at the corner of happy and healthy.
Zero out-of-pocket cost when billed to Medicare and full coverage supplemental insurance.
Non-dipping is a major risk factor for stroke, heart attack, and kidney disease. But studies show taking one or more of your prescribed blood pressure medications just before bedtime significantly decreases the risk. Of course, never change the timing of your medications without first consulting your doctor. For more, go to aarp.org.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
It's Sports Professor Rick Horrow with Beyond the Scoreboard. Welcome back. Don Garber, MLS Commissioner since 1999, the soccer Don, with the NFL for 16 years before the MLS, and ranked by Sports Business Daily as one of the 50 most influential people in the U.S. sports business every year since 2005. Obviously, big deal with international expansion of soccer here and the draft on the way. Don Garber. What have you done here for the last 16 years?
Tried to work hard to build a viable and popular professional Division I soccer league in America. And so far, so good.
So far, so good, and obviously a lot of issues business-wise. One of the big ones is the organizational structure, beginning of the MLS before you got here. Single entity theory. People swear by it. A lot of other leagues don't do it, but you've had it as your staple. How important was that to the success of the MLS?
No single entity, no Major League Soccer, no 20 teams, no 15 stadiums, no birth of a soccer nation in our country. And the idea is really a very simple one, Rick. Our owners are partners around the board table, making decisions collectively to create the league that we have become today, and stark competitors on the field. It's actually a model that many other leagues around the world, and I think even some leagues here, would perhaps like to emulate.
We'll get specific as to different components, but brand-wise, how do you view yourself today? What 30-second elevator speech on the brand of MLS?
You know, a young adult in the world of professional sports here in America. 20 years now, so we've been around for a full generation. The brand is very simple. We are the league for a new America, country that's changing, that's become increasingly global, that has shifting demographics, that has our nation actually looking like and acting like we are a country that's represented by every country from around the world. The League for New America, that's our brand.
And it's a great brand relative to making sure that it stays current. So getting into the whole youth issue, youth soccer, youth development programs, first and foremost, a lot of progress?
There have been a lot of progress. It's a good question, Rick, because when the league was founded, there was this idea that you can build a league around all those tens of millions of kids that play. And that ultimately is not really where our fan base is today. It's all those kids that grew up playing that now are millennials and are consumers, that are influencers, that are driving purchase decisions, that are politicians and CEOs of companies. And they all came out of that movement, and they're now the core of our fan base.
But you've done more than that. So in 06, the under 16, under 18, there are a lot of structures that were in place that when you go across the pond, you see how dynamic that is, but Americans may not have understood how important that is here. Leap of faith, significant, successful?
Well, you know, I would say we're on the path to success. You know, we spend more money today on youth development through our academy programs than we were spending overall as a league in terms of player salaries probably 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. But that's a long-term investment. I think the payoff will be in time. Right now, we're feeling pretty good about it. We've got some young kids that are coming up through our academies, playing for our clubs, playing for our national team.
Talk about the stars of the league, salary cap, leveling the playing field. Every league does it. You have to respond in certain ways with all of that. The designated player rule, are you happy with where that is today?
You know, I got to go back to the earlier question, which was the question about the single entity. Yeah. Single entity has owners acting as partners. That doesn't mean that we're there to try to pay players less money. It's actually quite the opposite. They can come together and decide on ways that they can pay players more money. And in this case, the designated player rule is the best example of that. How do you attract star players? We did research that showed that the soccer fan in this country wanted to see the David Beckhams of the world and the Frank Lampards and the Andrea Pirlos and the Sebastian Giovincos. The franchise player, the designated player, the Beckham rule that allows us to sign those players in a way that still fits within our system.
And understanding the global audience of Reuters and the fact that there still is the stigma is the wrong word. There's the perception that there's the Premier League, the Bundesliga, and then there's kind of everybody else. Where do you see the quality of MLS today fitting into kind of the pantheon of world soccer?
You know, I think it's important to recognize where you are and have a realistic view of where you fit in against your competitors, but still aspire to be as good as they are. So our goal is to be one of the top soccer leagues in the world and continue to invest in the quality of play and the in-stadium experience and ensuring that we're doing all those things so that when people think about the Premier League or the Bundesliga, Serie A, at some point soon they think about Major League Soccer. But we recognize we're not there yet. And I think that's a smart approach because if you try to be something you're not too fast, you won't get there. Yet if you don't push yourself to try to get there, then you never will. So I think overall the international football community believes in MLS in many ways as being of higher quality than perhaps some of the soccer folks here in America do. That's because the reality is it's getting pretty darn good.
And compared to international soccer that now Americans are seeing for the first time immersively with NBC and others carrying the games at all hours, does that help you because it exposes soccer to a whole bunch of people that never seen it before, or does it hurt you because it emphasizes the quality difference?
You know, I think our theory has always been to build a soccer nation in the U.S. and Canada. Try to convert people who are perhaps not fans of our game to be fans of the sport professionally. We do a lot of research that looks into what people are looking for with their professional soccer affinity. I think the fact that NBC does a great job with the Premier League early in the morning on Saturday and Sunday is good for us. Yeah. We're trying to create a culture of soccer, professional soccer watchers. And I think if you look at the growth of the market here, it's continued to explode, as has Major League Soccer. So far, the rising tide has lifted all boats. And guess what? We have the most boats on the water.
And as the television boats, have the numbers borne out the synergy between the international soccer here and the growth of eyeballs for the MLS?
You know, it's getting there, Rick. It's not where we want it to be. We've got great deals with ESPN and Fox and Univision. We have ratings growth this year, our audience growth. We just, a few weeks ago, had a great play-in game that was on series that was on Univision. They had record ratings for it. But like everything else, we recognize that it's part of a process. We've got 8-year deals with our 3 broadcast partners here. Similarly, in Canada on TSN and in French language. And overall, they're seeing some good growth.
And how about MLS internationally, too? I know there's a new African deal. There are some other deals that
there's been a lot of growth for us. A couple of years ago, we had no international television distribution at all. This year, we're on Sky in the UK. We're on Eurosport throughout Europe. We're on Globo in Brazil and many, many places around the world. Our games in England are on at 9 o'clock at night. So you're watching a slate of Premier League games, and then on comes the MLS game of the week. And we've had some great audiences there. But it's the beginning of an international strategy. Television drives that, and then we will fill that in with international exhibition games and merchandising programs, sponsor programs, player promotional programs as well.
Let's talk about corporate sponsors. The kit, the jersey sponsorship deals seem to be coming prolifically. You also have the master sponsorship deals with the MLS as well. How's that doing?
You know, our commercial business is growing fairly dramatically. We founded a company in 2002 called Soccer United Marketing. That company represents Major League Soccer, but the U.S. Soccer Federation, the Mexican Federation has represented CONCACAF. We've got the only league in the United States now that is Major League that is selling jersey sponsorship on the front. It's a business that's exploded for us. Gives us great exposure because many of them are international companies, also generates a lot of revenue. Our commercial business is growing fairly significantly, and that's a positive.
So Herbalife signs a deal publicly, $5 million a year, or whatever the number is for the Galaxy, and then you realize that your buddy across the city, Adam Silver, is having some issues getting harmony over uniform shirt sponsorship deals, and you say, we have a single entity, so that would be pretty easy for us to do, or something like that.
Well, again, Rick, I don't know that the difference between us doing it and them not has anything to do with the entity. I think it has to do with history, and we're a young league. We're only 20 years old. We can make some decisions that perhaps might be a bit more innovative. They do have jersey sponsorships of the WNBA. I think they tested that to see whether it would work for the NBA. I think the time will come very soon where you'll see logos on almost all Major League uniforms. There's no reason not to. You have them everywhere else. Why not put it on the uniform? I don't know that it's happening in the next year or 2 or 5, but I think the time will come when we'll see commercial logos on uniforms in the other major leagues.
And the Coca-Cola, Heineken, Johnson & Johnson, the big-time league sponsorships for you, they get benefits that transcend individual markets. They're national sponsorships and international sponsorships as well.
One of the things that I think is sort of quintessential about the American sports marketing model is this concept of national sponsorship and local sponsorship. And it's one of the things that I think makes the American leagues attractive to the Premier League and the Serie A and clearly the rest of global sport. So we have a very vibrant commercial business nationally, they get certain benefits and values, signboards and intellectual property rights, and then the local clubs get their ability to do local deals. They can sell local sponsorship, they can do local television, and overall the goal is to grow the enterprise. I mean, we do look at this from an enterprise perspective as opposed to just the league budget or just our individual club budgets.
Expansion in facilities, fun, validating, liberating, economically viable to have more markets that want you than spaces to expand.
You know, it's when I first came into the league in 1999, you know, we had 12 teams, then 10 teams. Some of those teams were owned by the league owners, and there was a time when we couldn't give our teams away to those who ultimately would have to incur the cost of operating them. You know, today there's a very vibrant market. We don't have enough teams to sell. Expansion will go carefully. I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit. There is a bit of an internal market where some teams are beginning to get sold, and the asset has appreciated over time. I think that's a positive. Overall, there has been a very, very careful strategic approach to how we've expanded the league. I think it will be the thing that my generation of league executives will be known for. We went from 10 teams to what will soon be 24 in a 15, 16-year period. And 25, 30 years from now, nobody will remember those days.
That when you're called the soccer Don and the Don of soccer, people do it lovingly, and people, I don't think, realize the passion that you bring to this. Right. And history will probably write, in addition to the economic benefits, that you are one of the most passionate commissioners to ever run a league. How does that make you feel?
Well, to be fair, Rick, if you're doing this every day, whether it's here or basketball, baseball, you got to be passionate about it because it's an all-encompassing job. You're managing the public, you're managing your owners, you're managing players in a union, you're trying to grow revenues at the same time, deal with all the pressures of being in the public eye, right? All the things that you write about and talk about and think about. So we all are big believers. I think you got to really believe to work in soccer because it's so hard. You know, we are the newest pro sports league. We are the one that's fighting against a lot of the more traditional views about what professional sport should be. And most of the folks here have been here since the beginning. Yeah. And I think that speaks to the passion that people have. And soccer, by its very nature, is a passionate sport. Kind of gets into your gut. It's why you see people yelling and screaming at referees and painting their faces and waving flags and celebrating and engaging in ways that they can't do perhaps with some of the other sports, and anticipating that goal when it finally happens and the heavens open up and people are hugging and kissing and screaming and crying. That kind of passion flows through to those people who work in it every day, whether it's me or it's the people who work with me or it's people who work at the clubs.
Don Garber, incredibly interesting perspective. Be back with Bust, Boom, and Hope. Rick Horrow, sports professor.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242, 800-614-1242. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Inspire Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, bruises and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, 25th episode and a July 4th special. Happy holiday, everybody. It's an amazing off-season. It's really a season. And it's time for Bust, Boom, and Hope. The problem, the good, and the hopeful in our turbulent sports business economy. First, bust. Nike's profits fell 2% and sales remained flat in quarter four, ending the sportswear company's long streak of strong growth. Wall Street Journal says that overall revenues grew about 6%, but primarily driven by gains overseas, not domestically. And despite the dip in profits, the company's numbers remained impressive. $846 million in quarter four profits. Revenues rose from about $8 billion to $8.24 billion. That's a lot of money. 12% growth logged for the previous quarter was passed. Under Armour stealing some of its space, but not all of it. Kudos to Nike. The bust, though, has to do with the lower revenues. But the real long-term growth is in the future, domestic and international. Bust described and disguised as a boom. How about boom? San Diego Padres open their new Hall of Fame at Petco Park, but not without making a significant last-minute decision. The Bud Selig Hall of Fame Plaza is down, according to the San Diego Union Tribune. Franchise had no question naming a plaza after the commissioner in the winner's circle, helping the ballpark win the rights to the All-Star Game. But his name didn't sit well with fans, and when the Selig announcement was made, the CEO, Mike D., said, we got to change the name. So they're doing it, even though they're going to honor him in the offices. How about hope? A Shanghai-based investor set to become the NBA's first Chinese owner, 5% stake in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Glenn Taylor selling 2 small shares of the Timberwolves and the Lynx, one to Orbach Real Estate in Jersey, and second to a Chinese marketing company that hopes the Minnesota franchise will generate some more impact in China. Clearly, the hope is the key word. We have a lot of really good stuff. The bottom line is we have a very significant July 4 holiday. Enjoy it, everybody. The best of. We'd like to thank all of the commissioners and all of our opinion leaders who continue to make this show the best sports business show that doesn't take itself too seriously in a $1 trillion industry. Rick Horrow, sports professor. Join us next week when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.